Hello everyone, it's Jin'taan here and welcome to another episode of Jin'talks. Today I'm going to be doing a video which is kind of an accompaniment to my article that I wrote for Iron on Skillfarming, but it is a little different. If you want to take a look into a more technical dive into how Skillfarming works on a larger level and to look at some alternate ways of doing it, please check that out. But what I wanted to do on my own channel here is just dive into how personally I use Skillfarming right now in order to subsidize my accounts and make them cheaper to run. Now the first thing to understand is that you don't actually have Skillfarming characters. What you have is Skillfarming accounts. And as you can see here, I have two characters which are skill farmers and one main character which I've blurred out, which is, if you're interested in knowing what I use this particular slot for, this is my super carrier. Now this isn't a perfect time to take a look at this account in particular, as I normally try and wait for Battleship level 5 to complete on two separate skills before I extract one, just because it makes it really easy to extract the 4 injectors that you get per cycle doing this. But as you can see, it's only a few clicks to fully extract a character and to send a contract over, sending this LSI to one of my other characters, who has trade skills, and so that I can centralize all of the LSIs in one place. Now your aim with this skill farming account is to acquire the maximum amount of SP as efficiently as possible, and in order to do that you have to be training at 2700 SP an hour, which will allow you to get roughly 4 extractors per single MPTC usage. In order to do this, you need to have +5 implants in, and that means the implants which give you a +5 bonus to any of your training attributes. You also need to be directly remapped to focus only on the attributes that are used for the long-term skill that you're trying to train up to eventually extract. In my personal case, I always use spaceship command skills, which means that I need to focus on perception and willpower. However, this will change depending on what specific skill you are training up to be extracted. If you want to check what training attributes are important to any specific skill, you can see this in the Attributes tab of the skill book's info. Now, as I've mentioned before, the way that you actually are able to train multiple characters on one account is through the appropriately named multiple pilot training certificates, the status of which you can see in the character sheet under the pilot services window, as shown here. One thing that's often overlooked in a casual assessment of skill farming, however, is the effect that the lead times of creating the SP actually has on the market. As you can see from the actual market window itself here, the price of MPTCs over time has steadily increased, which means that the cost of your inputs is steadily decreasing the further back you actually take them from. This is because MPTC prices are actually tied with Plex, and because Plex is a resource which almost always tends to increase in value over a long period. The connection between MPTC prices and Plex prices actually comes in from the New Eden store, as in the New Eden store itself, as you can see, you can buy MPTCs for Plex, effectively transmuting one currency into another service, which allows for the creation of SP in a manner that's actually cheaper than the standard 30-day subscription option. This means that SP generated using MPTC-based training will always be created at a more Plex-efficient manner than that's eventually extracted from characters which are created using just raw Plex. So to give a brief example, if I bought my MPTCs from roughly a month ago at 1.8 billion ISK, and was about to take 4 full large skill injectors out of this particular character's head. And on top of that I add the cost of right now buying skill extractors, which are at 494 million ISK. I get a total cost of 3.776 billion. However, if you then look at the prices of large skill injectors, which are at 1 billion ISK and counting currently, this means that, ignoring taxes, you stand to make roughly 200 million ISK per character, or scaling it up to the entire account because you should have 2 skill farming characters, that means you're making 400 million ISK a month. For those of you who have character slots that are not doing this, you are effectively throwing away ISK, as I show in the actual more in-depth technical details skill farming article, which is linked in the description below. The main quote-unquote cost of actually running a skill farm is plexing the first character, in order to gain access to NPTC-powered training queues, in order to get access to discounted SP and therefore make the entire account as a whole profitable. One of the other things that makes skill farming attractive to me personally is the amount of insulation you have against market movements, as whilst Plex does occasionally have drops, as you can see, it not only tends to rally, which brings with it all other Plex-based items, which includes large skill injectors, NPTCs, and everything else that you use in this process. You are not forced to sell your SP or your skill injectors immediately after you make them, and you can hold on to them and wait for the dip in Plex to correct itself. And after that has taken hold and been reflected in market prices, you can then sell. This means that the act of skill farming is not only physically safe in the game, as you never have to leave one specific citadel in order to train the right SP, and you can even remote extract and keep your characters in an NPC station if you want to be ultra paranoid. It also adds a level of economic safety, as you very, very rarely will ever lose money, and even if you do due to a long-term change in Plex going down, you've hopefully made enough money to pay off your initial investment by that point. This is something that I've spoken to CCP about, as I generally do not think it's an overly healthy addition to the game, and I think that the way NPTCs work in conjunction with skill farming is probably not intended. However, I feel it's important to be sharing this knowledge with the community, and I hope this helps you out, or is at the very least interesting to understand from an outsider's perspective, if you're not going to get involved in it. Thank you for your time, and as always, fly smart.